We need to start over again?
Yes. Just
Good warm up. And
you can do it.
and action.
All right, once again, call us to order. We've met compliance with official notifications, roll call.
Brooke Taylor,
Here.
Sarah Schubert McCone.
Here.
Ed Gallagher,
Here.
Nick Olson,
Here.
Bill Gapsky.
Here.
President Steve Olson excused, Nick Schumacher here.
I will take a moment for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, it is January 13, 2025 for a regular board meeting. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education held in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for comments by members of the public during the meeting as indicated on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to address the board on any of the topics included on tonight's agenda may do so by signing up on the public comments sign-up sheet by the entrance prior to the start of the meeting. The board must refrain from making any comments involving personally identifiable information about students, staff, or administration. Comments should be respectful, focused on the items being considered by the board, and will be restricted to 3 minutes in length. Action taken at today's meeting will be the final approval unless otherwise noted. Any comments by the community? Be sure, double check, okay. All right, next section is dispossession of minutes from December 9th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing no discussion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? It passes. Number 3, report by the superintendent. We got a couple new informational items tonight. The first one will be starting with our high school updates with Taylor McMeekin, our student representative. Take her away.
To start off, DECA competed last Saturday in districts at UW Stout, and many people placed well and will have great representation at the state competition at the end of February. Cheer brought home a trophy from their competition. There was a dance showcase last Thursday at the high school, which had great attendance, and it was fun to have many schools here at the school. Girls hockey won the Culver's Cup Championship at Madison for the 3rd year in a row. Olympian Ryan Lochte came to the high school to do a swim clinic for the high school boys in the YMCA swim team, so that was a really cool opportunity. Obviously, we just came back from winter break last week, and now we're approaching and getting ready for the end of the semester next week. And then upcoming for student council, we're planning Snow Week, Snowball, and Unity Day coming up at the beginning of February, and we're trying to plan for an after-school event of a 3-on-3 basketball tournament.
A lot going on now. So how did they get Ryan Lochte?
Oh, no, I,
The Superior.
they've had Olympians come before.
Nothing?
I think it's just the relationship with the YMCA.
They have a strong
Yep.
swim program.
She's do a lot of that,
Yeah.
Yep.
so.
All right, anything else? Yeah, thank you. Our next one is a Great Lakes Elementary School update with Principal Ryan Harrelson.
Thanks a lot.
I'm gonna just put a disclaimer out here. Ryan said he might go off script tonight. I have no idea what's about to happen.
It's all really.
He's moving around. Okay.
Stand up, can I stand up here?
Yes.
By the point, I don't like to be pinned down in one spot.
I know that's.
So I'm gonna do some Great Lakes updates, and I put this on our calendar, and I just speak to the board as a super proud principal, and it's the first time I've got to come up to the board this year. I actually don't have a ton of new data because we're in the middle of winter testing, but I'll hit that harder when we get to the summer. I will go off script a little bit, Amy, and I'll make sure I weave some of our conversations in as we go. All right, so first thing, I'm following the script to start because the first slide was to talk about like the student transition. I'd have probably a different presentation if this were like September, because the transition it's kind of over. It's gone really well. One school, it feels really good. Like as far as special activities, I know when I was here in the spring, summertime, we did quite a bit, with a presentation, welcome. We had the Lake Superior kids got to visit. I know it didn't work out for the whole district to do that, but since that was the school closing, they came over and I think we made a fairly good impression. We did transition night, spring of 2024, got to meet a lot of the parents. We rebranded our building. We are now the Great Lakes Eagles. Majority of the new kids were from LSD, and staff actually, that we had in there. So we tried to merge the two buildings. This past Wednesday, we premiered our school song. I think I sent that to you, Amy.
Mhm.
It was
Very good.
awesome. My daughter goes to Northern Lights, and when I picked her up from a friend's house, I made her listen to it on the radio. It was great. So
Gonna sing it though?
I'm not going to sing it.
It's actually quite long.
Yes. But we got that, and it was awesome. Lynn Pusky, Amy Frayne had said to Lynn, like Ryan was really wanting to work on a school song. With Amy moving to Northern Lights, she passed that to Lynn. Lynn did it without me even knowing and surprised me in the school concert with the second graders singing it.
Oh,
We did a welcome back picnic in September that was super well attended. It was really simple. Playground, we had hot dogs. The kids came and ran around. A number of staff members there got to meet with parents. As we started this year, and I'll talk about this with our CIP too, a large emphasis on PBIS, school culture plus good structures and routines. Every classroom had probably anywhere from 60 to 70% returning kids, and I don't know, 10 to 30, depending on the grade level, 10 to 30% kids coming from other places. So we really worked hard on fusing that. This Wednesday, the transition does kind of continue. We have an Eagle coming to school. There's a presenter that is going to be doing separate groups. They're going to do K2. I don't remember how I got it divided, but I got 3 grade levels in one and 3 grade levels in the other. And there's some educational pieces they do with it. It's in the gym, so I'm guessing they must need some height or some stuff where they do. So we've got an Eagle coming in. That came from the PTO. Some of our incoming Lake Superior parents said it was really awesome last year, so we thought we would share that with our school community. Okay, whenever I present to the board, I got to talk about some data, and I'm going to talk about our forward data from last spring, but it's really important because this data is going to help project us into getting some amazing results down the road with our new cohort. So I want to talk a little bit here. There's 3 graphs I'm going to show you. What I want to really emphasize are the areas I highlighted in yellow. Okay, so I went back to 2019, and there's another project I've got going on that I hope I get to present to you in the spring, but I can't say anything right now. Okay, so if you go back to 2019, looking at these graphs, the forward exam, you've got advanced, proficient, basic, below basic. So blue and green is great. Those kids are at or maybe even well beyond where we want them to be. Yellow is like, oh, I'd like to see them do better. Some of these kids, if they've got other data points that show that they're achieving, that's okay. Red, that below basic, now it's called developing. I think I've said this in staff meetings, that's not acceptable for students at Great Lakes or the whole district, I would say, because we want those kids learning at high levels. So back in 2019, we had higher student enrollment. If you look at where we compared to the state average, so this is advanced proficient. We had about 45% of kids in there. We were a little bit above the state average at the time, which was 41.7, about 3.5 percentage points above it. When I group advanced, proficient, and basic together, the state average was about 76%. We were just a little bit above the state average. So the pluses aren't these, we were above the state average. When I go to 2024, we are now at Great Lakes, and Michelle and Kristen, thank you. I know you're just here to kind of support the school, and I really appreciate that. The state average for advanced and proficient this past spring was 52%. We're about 69 and some change, so almost 17% above the state average at Great Lakes. When I combine these bottom 3 categories, so advanced, proficient, and basic, we got almost 97%. So we're down from 21% to 3% in that bottom category. This was about 15 points above the state average. So from 3.5 to 17, from 1.6 to 15. When we look at our kids that maybe aren't as fortunate or low socioeconomic status. Now I could not get the breakdown. I could only see proficient and advanced in the green. And then this combines basic and below basic. 2019, the state average was about 24% of kids of low socioeconomic status scoring advanced or proficient. At that time, we were at about 36%, so we were about 11 points above the state average. If we go to 24, 25, we are now about 25 percentage points above the state average. Our low socioeconomic students, almost 60% of those kids were advanced or proficient. Like I said, I don't, just for comparison purposes, I couldn't get the state breakdown. This I could break down further, but I wanted to keep it consistent. This 58% is 7 points higher than the state average overall. The state average is about 52, it was 52.5. So like if I took just our low socioeconomic status students as a group, and that was just a school, we'd be 7 points higher than the state average. I'm really, really proud of that. I'm looking at two people in the back that contributed to that. I was so pumped to come and share this with you. Last, I want to look at SPED. I wish Dina was here. I do though, and she'd be really happy to see this because I think she's actually played a part in this too. So special ed 2019, we had 0% scored advanced. These are students with disabilities in WISE-, the state assessment system. We had about 12.5% were scoring proficient. The rest were either basic or 62% below basic. You can see state averages. We were a little bit above for advanced and proficient. We were actually right at the state average, slightly below. We go to this here. This is the most exciting thing I've seen. Our advanced and proficient were, so the state average, I believe, was 16.2%. We had about 28% advanced proficient, so we were about 12 points higher. When you look at advanced proficient basic, almost 88, well, about 88% of our students scored in those top three categories. State average, 47%. We were 41 points above the state average, and I'm telling you, I wish everybody was here because that's what I'm bragging about the work that all of you guys did. This is really important because as I go through the rest of my updates, I'm going to tell you why this data is still important. I know we sent 109 of these students to another school. Those are just some celebrations I wanted to share from a data standpoint that I didn't get a chance to share in the fall. Other celebrations we have going, and we talked about this, like the high turnout at family events, the trunk or treat, Veterans Day was well attended, welcome back picnic. Partnership with United Presbyterian Church. Some of you maybe have heard some of this. They do our garden with us. They've got volunteers that come in and read. I'm looking at Michelle because I remember everyone was laughing as we came back from a staff meeting because Michelle, Ryan, and Martine all went to church together, and we did. We did on a Sunday to talk about like the importance of reading. Those adults have made such a big difference coming into there. They've done the garden. They donate food and snacks. Right now, I'm communicating with the pastor there. They've got a relationship with a school in Ghana, so we're looking at setting up some stuff back and forth with them. Transition, I talked about that. It went really good. I was just telling Amy too in my office when she was coming around, I think it was last Monday, like our new families have been incredible to work with. I'm feeling about as good as I have in 10 years. Rejuvenation, like I'm looking back at Michelle and Kristen, like I feel like we're gonna party like it's 2014. I feel like this is like my first year at Great Lakes all over again. Don't get me started on that too, because I might be older in age, but energy wise, I'm getting younger right now. So anyways, I personally, and I hope most of my staff, if you talk to them, would just say it's rejuvenation. It's been like starting over. It's like a new project. Challenges. I told Amy, this is where I may go off script a little bit. There are 0 challenges at Great Lakes. That doesn't mean things are not hard at times. And but I'm gonna tell you right now, like I walk around the school and I said, gosh, they changed the lines and then they gave me my 360 kids and I got the best 360 kids again every year. Yeah. So it's like, I'm trying to think of the right way to put it. I want you as a board to know that this year started really tough and we're coming off many tough years. Like we had COVID and we had all kinds of things going on in the district. It is like I came back from the holidays and I feel like that year, Amy, that we talked about. I always say, Amy, when are we gonna have a good year? When are we gonna
Normal year, you said.
normal year, good year?
Yeah.
Like I think we're finally starting to get there. And when I say no challenges, I don't mean things aren't hard. I don't mean we don't have behaviors. I don't mean any of those things, but I feel like if I was here in the fall, I think I would have talked a little bit more about those challenges. I feel like my teachers have really taken those kids and they've got things really under good control. It's been incredible to watch. I feel like it's the best year in a long time. I'm going to talk about collective efficacy. So that data I just showed you, that data doesn't even matter anymore because my current cohort of kids, it's not the same cohort of kids. But I'm going to talk to you about collective efficacy because that really is you have to believe kids can learn at high levels, and that's the raw stuff. And I think I probably have done that okay over my time at Great Place. We believe kids can learn at high levels, but that's not just saying that doesn't mean anything unless you've got data that continually fuels that drive. So when I talk to my staff, and this is probably a little similar to my staff meeting last week when I was talking to them, the data I just showed you, we have been here before. Our data is it's probably 10, 12 points lower. We have been there before. I told Amy walking out the door when she did my supervision meeting the other day, I said, when these kindergartners in 5th grade, we're gonna have the best data in the state. And I promise, even if we're not there, we're gonna be close. I know we can do that. Level of support, like I'll be honest, like the RTI, when our paras, that has made things harder, but on the same line, my teacher teams have really figured out some creative ways to address needs. And I think as we get some of the winter data, we're going to see us starting to put some dents in any of the issues and start catching some of those kids up regardless. Special ed, I just want to say we do have an increase of needs, but I'm talking real disabilities. Some of the behaviors are really stemming from autism spectrum disorder or more severe emotional behavioral disabilities. But we had a long-term sub helping Allie and Alice and helping the rest of the school. And I know that Amy and Dina are giving us another special ed teacher that's going to help case manage, bring some case loads down. And I think they have a little more experience in the behavioral realm. So I feel like we're not just clawing and scratching. I feel like we got a shot to really have a good semester there. And this does not mean that teachers are not working hard and things are not hard sometimes, but I just feel really good right now. And I hope my staff does too. And I gotta be honest too, Amy, September, October, you come through the building, I gotta say this and I'll wrap it up. Anyways, you come through, you do supervision, you interact with teachers, you do, the things that a superintendent's supposed to do. But when you came in earlier this year, you were tense. It was like we were having financial issues or there's a referendum going on.
Yeah.
And
Stuff going on, yeah.
And last time you came in, which is last week, you were really let's go. You helped me with some pure observation stuff. And I wouldn't let Amy out the door without, she's supervising me, but I'm also going to supervise her. She's got some leadership books on the way that I'm going to highlight and give to you. I got to tell you, the only reason Amy is in her job or I'm in my job or those two ladies back there are doing 3rd grade and 5th grade or you're sitting in the board so that all kids can learn at high levels, and especially those kids that have some disadvantages. And when I say that, I'm talking about, this is cliche and I probably have used this with my staff. I look at my own kids. My kids are 3rd base kids. They're spoiled. My own kids sitting at home. If they're listening to this, yep, they're spoiled. All they need, they got a roof over their head, they got food in their stomachs, they get to do all these activities. They're at 3rd base. All they need is a fly ball to the outfield and they will figure out a way to get home. There are some kids in some of those subgroups I looked at that if I walk into their homes, and I'm not going to get into that side story there, but some of the situations, the environments they live in, and I walk through some of them, I just want you to remember the only reason we were in our seats the board members, Amy, myself, is to make sure those kids also have that opportunity. And I'm way over time, but Steve's not here to cut me off anyway. So, I just, thank you to all of you. I'm just looking, I think we're gonna have a golden age in superior education here the next decade. So let's get to it. Anybody else? Thank you. Just wanted to, I'm flying high right now. And I'm not on anything.
But look at her face, she's like, no.
Do it.
We just had our admin meeting, on Friday, and I had said at our admin meeting, you know, we've gone through some really hard changes in the last, 18 months, and, to be in our schools, listening in our listening sessions, listening to staff, listening to our principals, it's a great time to be in Superior, and we're in a really good place as a district. So
You would never know that we just went through all this.
oh, yeah. It's our leadership in our schools and in our departments that work alongside our teachers to make that happen. So
And I
thank
think,
you.
and obviously I'll speak for Great Lakes, but I'm sure it's prevalent everywhere. The teachers are digging in and they're making it work and they're killing it. And I'm sorry, I said the D word during.
Your stats really got me emotional. I mean,
Five
that's
seconds.
really impressive and it's really something to be commended, both of your leadership, all of the teachers and staff, the teamwork that you all exude together. Really inspiring.
We're a team.
Yes,
It's good, yeah.
absolutely. So thank you.
Do you have any other
Ryan,
questions?
you set the bar for your presentation.
I have to honor, I do that because I gotta honor their work, because this isn't like, they've been incredible. I tell them that all the time. This is kind of an exciting time. I get to tell it more in a more of a public venue, so.
I wish we could see people experience the staff meetings for the first time, like new staff, they're like, oh, it's every staff meeting like this, and they're like, yeah,
Well, if it's as exciting as this.
Yeah.
every single one.
So if you guys need anything, come to the school anytime you like. It's great. I hope you'll continue to do the visits and, it sounds like I've had a meeting with David about the mission and vision
Yeah, we're
coming
gonna
up.
work
So
through
it
that.
sounds like that's all, strategic plan.
Yeah, we'll get to there next, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, we're all
We'll get there,
exhausted now
Yeah.
from that.
Thanks, Ryan.
Don't take our clicker. Oh, okay. Thank
Thank
you, guys.
you. Thank you.
All right, and continue after that. We have one action item. Administration recommends approval for the WIAA Winter Sport Co-op Agreement. It's gymnastics 2025, 2026 annual renewal required with Maple, which is attached.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion on that? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Moving on to board committee reports, starting with teaching and learning committee, one informational item at the committee of the whole on January 6, 2025. Tina Hagan, Director of Student Services and Special Education, provided a special education department update.
Motion to approve teaching and learning committee report.
Second. Motion second, any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're on Operations Committee, one informational item there. At the Committee of the Whole on January 6, 2025, David C., Director of Business Services, discussed a school preventative operations maintenance project at Bryant Elementary.
Motion to approve the operations committee report.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion?
Any updates on that, David? Yeah.
It's just in the process, we let the engineers know that it's gonna be a go.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on. Budget Insurance Committee. First action item is gift grants and bequests. Administration recommends approval to accept gift grants and bequests received in December of 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any conversation? Thank you to everybody that gave. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next action item is the open enrollment. Administration recommends 60 spaces for general education open enrollment and 0 spaces for special education open enrollment for the 2025-2026 school year.
Motion to approve.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Well, a couple of information items. First one, at the committee of the whole on January 6, 2025, David C., Director of Business Services, provided an update on school district tax levy. Second informational item was the Fund 10 revenue and expenditure preliminary reports.
Motion to approve budget insurance committee report.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Moving on, legislative committee. One discussion item is the WASB delegate assembly and resolutions. Submitted 2025 resolutions by board members and proposed 2025 resolutions by policy and resolutions committee. Tip for legislative, need a motion, a second,
Motion to approve the legislative committee.
second.
Second.
Motion, a second, any discussion on the report? You just look like you're getting ready for discussion.
Well, I'm just gonna take notes if there's any discussion so that I can, so everybody's in support? Okay.
There was comments, I had sent the Blue Ribbon Commission letter to David just to ask him to take a look at it as well. So I just figured I don't know if I forwarded that to everyone, but okay. So just take that into consideration, I guess I'd ask.
Was there a recommendation for updating that language? No, okay. I couldn't remember where that conversation landed between email and stuff. Okay.
No, but that, yeah, specifically the sped should be higher.
Yeah, okay.
So that's,
There's also the Sun Prairie area school district that talked about meal shaming and that was the title of it, but looking at making sure the state is reimbursing for students that have meal plan deficits at the end of the year. So I know we have Angel Fund, but are there other ways that Jamie's getting that money reimbursed?
Do you know, I know we've gone to collections for families. We work really hard that if families have a deficit in their lunch accounts, we work really hard to get them to fill out a free and reduced lunch application so that doesn't go in the negative.
Mhm.
Some families don't fill that out and then we end up going to collections or we utilize the Angel Fund, but I don't.
Those collections, if they don't pay it, they usually have some families don't pay funded, so they stop paying it. But we will not and do not do food shaming. It's the belief of the school district is it's not kids' fault.
Yep, right.
So they don't ever get food taken away. So they just run up a bigger deficit and parents have to deal with that collection side. But
What was the actual recommendation from that district?
So let me read it. So they want to add to this language that consistent with the idea of feeding kids all the same meals, no matter what, which we already do, and being reimbursed for the unpaid lunch balances at the end of the year. WASB would support legislation that allocates money to reimburse districts for the cost of unpaid meal debt if they are feeding kids without stigma. So following the policy that we have.
We actually just had an audit by the food service and they were actually suggesting we stop doing our practice and so we said that's not what we do. So I think there just needs to be some clarity at the state level on how we handle that. Now, on the other end, if families knew that it wasn't, that we were just going to get reimbursement for it, would they just not pay for it? I don't know. But
the big push, I know Jamie's on a bunch of boards for this stuff.
Yep.
Association or the big push is trying to get universal free lunch. We provide books and all this stuff.
Mhm.
It's even for my kids.
Mhm.
My kid's hungry, not learning very well. So
Mhm.
it's kind of the push.
Yeah. Minnesota move forward with that, right? So, but, okay, that's the only one that I thought was really important. Then I already brought up the There's one other one that maybe people didn't look at. Sorry. It's the education cabinet position. So they're looking at creating a cabinet which would support the Department of Education and the U.S. Department of Education's mission to collect data and disseminate research, so that there's a focus on educational issues and prohibit discrimination and equal access to education. So specifically just looking at the like SPED stuff and
You're talking about recommending that the state creates a leadership position to do this?
an education.
Looking at right now, because I'm not sure which one.
This is a proposed one, 5.1. So just something for folks to look at. We don't have to, if you haven't looked at it, that's, or remember it, you're not going to remember all the different proposals, but that was another one that was just interesting to look at. So that's all I have for discussion.
People still have time to share feedback with you while before we go.
And like I
Is it
said,
Thursday of the convention or Wednesday? Wednesday,
yeah, it's most of the day on Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay.
Like I said, please look over the larger packet that has the ones that they did not push forward, but they can present at the convention, because I am certain that at least one of the schools will.
Yeah, those are the two I was talking about, like you said, from that packet.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing no other discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Moving on, Policy and Rules Committee. Administration proposes the approval of changing the following policy based on Neola recommendations in order to be in compliance with state and federal law updates. The one action item is now a second reading of policy 5330, administration of medication emergency care.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion a second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. And motion for the
Motion to approve the Policies and Rules Committee.
Second.
motion a second to approve Policy and Rules Committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on, Personnel Negotiations Committee. Couple of action items. First one is administration recommends the approval of the January 2025 new hires and separations report.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Second action item is the administration recommends releasing Bobby Matherly, Director of Buildings and Grounds, early from his 24-25 school year contract per his request for retirement effective May 16th, 2025, with the liquidated damages provision enforced.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeah, passes.
Motion to accept the personnel and negotiations report.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on. Other reports by members of the board. Anybody have anything to bring forward?
Next Monday is MLK Junior Day. Last year, we had students participate in that. Is there anything planned this year, or do we still have the Black Student Union?
We do, last week when you asked me the question, the advisor was gone, so I wasn't able to get an update, but I am going to, we talked about it today, and Jen will bring an update to the next board meeting, talking what we're going to do for Black History Month, as well as the activities centered around MLK Day. Thanks. Okay.
Yeah, I want to take a second to ask about the Power School stuff, the email that went out. As far as like our community, our families, like what data from our school went out in the leak, and what should our families be doing? Do they got to change password or anything?
So we only use Power School as our student information system for like grades, and other school districts use it for like their business services or things like that. And so some districts had more of an effect. It has very little effect on us. David, do you know any more? I know Casey was out today, and so I haven't talked to her today.
There's no social security numbers. We don't.
Yeah.
School, it's just mainly when they say, you know, private student information, it's going to be like that. It wasn't our school that was like attacked. It was Power School is the whole nation. So people go out and they're not going to look for some kid's address. They're looking at credit cards and social security.
And like I said, we don't use Power School in that way, so it didn't really affect us like it did other school districts. They may use it for their business purposes or other purposes. Yeah, for HR or business office. So I don't have a whole lot more information. I was asked, WPR had asked to do an interview, and I said, I don't really have more information than what Power School's already shared with them. So
Could we maybe in the future have a presentation on, or maybe in closed session, depending on what's appropriate for protecting our students' data, because that is becoming more and more.
For sure.
concern.
We actually, Aaron Schilling would be happy to do that. We have a data privacy team that we're very, very strict on any software applications, anything that we allow our students or staff to use. And actually, sometimes there's a level of frustration from staff because they'll want a really cool app to use with kids, and we say no, because the reason it's free and so cool is because they're pulling your students' data, and we can't allow that to happen. And then the response is, well, other districts are doing it. And I was like, well, they're creating risks for themselves. So Casey and Aaron would be able to provide some good information. We could talk about having them come in February, I think so.
One thing here is actually that information protection.
Yeah.
So that's one thing we brought up CISA 12, our consultant, we were trying to make sure we have plans in case of it, just like that, because she knows that's one of the biggest risks we have as an organization is the IT side of it.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Good question, Ed.
Any other comments or questions from the board? All right, moving on, district and program highlights.
Have a whole lot. I know that this week we're doing an open house for the school forest, so Lori Dons is going to be putting that on. I'm working closely with David to put together our legislative platform. We'll be putting some information on our website for community members to be able to access what our legislative priorities are, as well as a template if they want to contact their local legislators, as well as their contact information. And I'm working closely with the Superior Days team to put the issue of K-12 funding together so that those students and citizens who are going down have information for that. David and I actually just met with the students who are attending that and gave them a little bit more information on the topic itself. So they're well versed and they ask good questions.
Underestimating.
Yeah.
Not to put anything on David, but are there do we have some nice materials that are simple and
so
we already have?
I'm actually working on that, but Superior Days is putting a packet together. So yes.
Okay.
And then we're going to pretty much just duplicate that information, have one pagers and information people can pull off our website too.
Thank you.
And I'll also be going to Superior Days as well.
Yeah, great.
Plan is to be doing a lot of coverage, so if you need me to do anything.
Anything else, Aaron?
No, sorry.
Last consideration of bills and pre-approved bills. A lot of them. Motion and second.
Motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion on the bills? No discussion, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll pay the bills. Motion and second to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor to adjourn?
To official.
Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Adjourn.
That one.
Yeah.
That's one that they
New
brought.
London.
Yeah, did I say Berlin?